following is a presentation of HBO Sports. In boxing, the opportunity to take a swing at history and achieve legendary status is what matters most. In 1952, the greatest middleweight the world has ever known, Sugar Ray Robinson, challenged for the light heavyweight title and failed. Now on June 10th, Bernard Hopkins will take his shot by moving up 2 weight classes, challenging for the light heavyweight title against the man who dethroned Roy Jones Jr.
You had 2 no-nonsense guys. They had to work hard to get where they're at, to get that recognition. And now they're fighting each other.
Bernard Hopkins' legacy is 20 consecutive middleweight title defenses, knockout wins against Felix Trinidad and Oscar De La Hoya. If Bernard Hopkins is able to capture the light heavyweight title on the heels of what he's already accomplished in his career, those are the sort of things you write in a Hollywood script.
Hopkins would love to have that on his mantle, that he did something that Sugar Ray Robinson tried to do.
Bernard is in a situation where he's in uncharted territory. He's never had an opponent that had the kind of advantages over him physically that Antonio Tarver has in this fight.
The last time we saw Tarver, he was stamping himself as the undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world.
Tarver's got a chance, and he is second knockout of Roy Jones.
Assuredly, Antonio Tarver stands on the cusp of being considered one of the great light heavyweight champions.
I am one of the best fighters in the world. Give me my credit.
I don't know what advantages Hopkins has. He don't have an age advantage. He doesn't have a height advantage. He doesn't have a reach advantage.
I'm a better fighter, plain and simple. I'm chasing history.
This fight is about weight, pure and simple.
Push on you. Push.
Regardless of how you want to look at it. One guy coming up, one guy trying to come down. What's harder?
I gathered up my troops, he's gathered up his, and it's going to be war.
Vero Beach, Florida, April 28, 2006. Antonio Tarver, together with trainer Buddy McGirt and little-known strength and conditioning coach Dudley Pierce, open training camp.
It's just us 3, man. I mean, it's no major entourage. It's not 20 other people hanging on telling me how great I am. And, this is how we like to do it.
We've been in camp 3 weeks already, and a lot of people are like surprised by that. But, we're not. We usually get 2 solid months in. But I got Dudley down early because I knew my work would be hard. But, that's my responsibility. As a champion, I got to get it done.
Tarver's dominance of the light heavyweight division began with a memorable trilogy with Roy Jones Jr. After a controversial Jones decision in the first fight, Antonio came back with a vengeance and knocked out Roy in dramatic fashion.
Down goes Jones on a hard left hand, and that is the most that Roy Jones has ever been hurt.
On this night, legacies would be on the line.
On the 30th anniversary of the Thrilla in Manila, Antonio Tarver and Roy Jones complete their trilogy.
I showed the world that I was a better fighter.
Roy fought the way I thought he would. That he fight very defensive, try to set Tarver up, try to lure him into something. Told Antonio, you got to jump on him right away and take the play from him. And he did.
Tarver gets Jones into a corner, hits him with 2 big left hands.
I think they went through that whole training camp determined not to get hit with the left. I mean, because the guy just never wanted to even engage.
Tarver beat his ass. I mean, simple as that. Tarver took it right to Roy. Roy Jones didn't want to get knocked out. Tarver knew it. Tarver had him hurt several times in the fight, clearly in the 11th round when he almost knocked him out.
Tarver's got a chance, and he is second knockout of Roy Jones.
If I would have got over anxious, and got careless, who knows what would have happened. And I think that's what they was trying to bait me into doing.
It was almost as if he and Buddy McGirt expected Roy to fight the way Roy fought. So they didn't seem surprised by anything that Roy did.
And still universally recognized the light heavyweight champion of the world, Antonio Magic Man Tarver.
In spite of the overwhelming victory, many believed Antonio had not given his best performance, and stamina questions persisted.
Tarver, he's totally shot. I mean, he can't even get his balance down enough to land 2 solid blows.
Most people, I think, would agree that Antonio didn't fight his best fight that night, that he was tentative, that he was considerably less intense than he had been in knocking Jones out in the second round of their second fight. And indeed, when he got Jones in trouble in the 11th round, he seemed to run out of gas instantly and couldn't get him out of there at a moment when most of us at ringside probably thought that Antonio was going to knock Roy out again.
New Orleans, Louisiana, a rebuilding city and the site of Bernard Hopkins' training camp. To gain the weight necessary to go up 2 weight divisions from 160 to 175 pounds, Hopkins has hired fitness guru Mackie Shilstone.
All right, one time around, follow me. Under 152 heart rate, we're going to run our run circuit, the gauntlet, okay? Be prepared and understand how to work under fatigue situations. You ready?
Sure. Mackie Shilstone is this training guru who from time to time shows up with a fighter and who supposedly knows how to build up fighters who are moving up significantly in weight so that they add strength while maintaining their quickness in the smaller weight division.
As a middleweight, Bernard Hopkins dominated his division for a decade, making a record 20 defenses of his title. But he lost his undisputed middleweight crown to 24-year-old Olympian Jermaine Taylor in a controversial decision.
He pulled it off. He pulled it off, and the long reign of Bernard Hopkins is over.
I personally scored that fight a draw. A lot of guys thought that Hopkins clearly won that fight.
It never hurt me. He accomplished standing on his feet and surviving 12 rounds, and you'll get the fight.
On December 3rd, 2005, Hopkins sought to avenge his loss.
Given the fact that he lost the first fight, you would expect him to be a lot more aggressive.
Right hand landed for Taylor. And another one. His 2 best punches in a while.
But basically, he fought the same fight as he did the first fight.
Once upon a time, Hopkins was a lion who chased down his prey. Now he's an old lion who waits in the weeds and hopes something comes by.
Bernard felt like he didn't really have to prove anything because he won the first fight, so he just had to go out and put the foot on the gas pedal a little bit more.
Is it the future or the past? Is it youth or age?
And still undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Jermaine Bad Intentions Taylor.
There is a school of thought within the sport, and certainly within Bernard Hopkins' camp, that he deserved to get the decision in both fights. He didn't get the decision in either fight.
The people have spoken who their champion is, and that's who I am, the people's champion. I told my mother before she passed that I won't fight past 40. Well, he's been telling us for the last couple of years that he wasn't going to fight beyond the age of 40. Told us that repeatedly, fight after fight after fight. You know, I'm not going to do this because I promised my mother that I wasn't going to. I ain't a superstitious guy, but I believe once I go back on my word, I always pay a big price.
He's trying to do something that's spectacular enough to wipe out the results against Taylor and to put Bernard Hopkins back up onto that pedestal where he saw himself before the Taylor fights and where clearly he still sees himself, whether boxing fans do or not.
You have a guy in Hopkins who, 41 years old, after you've promised your mom that you're not going to fight anymore, after you've been champion, after you've done things to give yourself a good way of life, now you're jumping up in weight with a guy much bigger. You'll wonder, why are you doing it? And that's a question that begs to be answered.